Most efficient presentations we've ever done. Yeah, I reckon. Yeah, it's just give me an extra couple of minutes, or a couple more minutes for Campbell to talk as well. All right, so okay, so that was obviously me and my family. That was a few weeks ago, where we became Aussie citizens. So that was a huge goal kicked for us. If anyone's ever been or knows anybody who's been through the whole visa scenario, if you're not from here or from New Zealand, it's arduous, it's long. Marion can, we $30,000-$40,000 we've spent over the past few years on getting visas. We had the phone call that said your visa's been rejected, you've got 30 days to leave the country. We had all of that, but we were very fortunate to have an amazing migration lawyer and support around us to help us get it over the line. So, and that's my wife Amy. She's from Durban in South Africa. And then we met at university. I'll come onto that in a bit. That's April, so she's 5.5. My son Bond, who is going to have the best pickup line ever when he goes to when he's older and say the name's Bond. And then Knight, who is 10 months old. So yep, next one. So I grew up in Portsmouth. That's the nicest picture that you'll ever see of it because it's normally black, dark grey and cloudy. It was a naval town, so I grew up seeing lots of fights in going out, and the beaches there are horrible and disgusting. So I don't recommend ever going to Portsmouth. Oh, here we go. Yeah. Let's move on. I was so desperate to get out of Portsmouth that I booked a one-way ticket when I was 18, and I flew to Auckland. So I couldn't have got any further away from all of my mates and my family. That's not saying anything. I love my family and my friends, but I wanted to go and experience the world. So I went and lived in Auckland, and that was where I got my first sales job. So I got a job working door to door, selling mobile phones in the streets of Auckland. So I'd hop in a car, someone would drop me off in a suburb, and they'd pick me up about 8 hours later, and I didn't get paid if I didn't sell. But my training was to follow this guy around for 2 days, and he was the most unethical bloke you'll ever meet. He lied to his clients. He told them that, and bear in mind, this is 2003, so people would still believe what people were saying, right? They wouldn't check the internet. So he was saying, "Oh, I'll get you a better deal," and he was just lying just because he was making loads of money. Get these people into contracts, sign a contract they couldn't get out of, and I was like, there's surely a better way of doing this. So after a while, I learned how to sell and do it properly, and ended up becoming the top salesman there. And they actually changed the way that they did their processes based on that. And interestingly, the guy who I learned from became a sales trainer and taught really unethical sales, ironically, and did pretty well for himself just to make money. Yep, cheers. Oh, you're like reading my mind here. No, it's all good. So after about a year, we travelled all over New Zealand. It was amazing, but I came back to the UK and decided that I want to go to university because, I don't know, that's just what you do. So I went to uni and the beautiful Winchester. Winchester, fun fact, used to be the capital of England before London, and it's where the Knights of the Round Table were, and it's great, King Alfred and all that. And that's where I met my wife, Amy. So I studied social care because I wanted to get into politics. So I can argue my point of view to the hilt, and I will also listen to your point of view, even though it's wrong. And I thought I'll go great in politics. But then when I got into understanding social care, and I started to work with people on low incomes, I actually had more of a passion to help people in that world. So I became a benefits officer. So basically my job was to help people that were on benefit, I guess the equivalent of Centrelink here, and help them get off of benefit, off of state help, and get into get into work, get into jobs. So I started to learn how to communicate effectively with people on low incomes, helping them break that mindset of like, well, I can just suck off the state. And actually a lot of people would find themselves in their situations no fault of their own, but there was a real stigma towards the dole claimers. It wasn't, half of the time it wasn't their fault. There were some people who I think they call them dole bludgers here. There were some people like that, but more often than not, there were people that just wanted to make a better life for themselves. And what I found at that time was that the politicians and the people that were supposed to be helping had no interest in helping them whatsoever. Dominic Raab, who actually was stand-in Prime Minister over the pandemic, was an example of that. He would come in and talk to us and work with me on, like, we're going to do all this stuff for these people, but then they would never follow through. They just did it to get votes. And then in 2009, 2010, they had all these austerity measures and all of these things got cut, mental health services and stuff. So I got to see the real ugly side of how things work, but it didn't stop my passion to want to help people. Another significant thing that happened in 2009 was that I had a viral brain infection. Some of you know about this. It's called viral encephalitis, where basically I had brain inflammation. I was taken to hospital and I was given coin flip, literally 50-50 whether I was going to survive or not. Obviously I did, spoiler alert, but what it did do was it gave me a reconnection back to my faith, spiritually, but it also gave me a newfound understanding and what a desire to learn about the brain, because I had a brain infection, and wanted to learn about it. It's very similar to meningitis for those of you who want to look it up. Next slide. So then I got married to Amy and we moved to Hersham. That is Leafy, Surrey. It genuinely looks like that, and that's like 4 different pubs in the space of about 200 metres. It's the best thing about England. So if you do go to the UK, it's the best thing about it. And then that's where I worked and lived. That's literally just outside of London, so I commuted into London. I worked for one of the largest housing associations in the UK, and I became their trainer. So I started to train staff on how to communicate tenancy. We had like lots of property managers that were looking after antisocial behaviour, and that's where I became a trainer. I worked for the Red Cross. I'll go around the country delivering Red Cross training to service users to help them learn a skill that could hopefully get them a job. Very challenging, very rewarding. But in 2014, my wife and I decided that we just want to quit our jobs. Next slide. So we went all around the world. I haven't spent the time to mark where we went, but we went everywhere. We went to all through the US, South America, Central America, and then South Africa as well. It was mind-blowing, best thing we ever did. And the key theme through all of it is that people are amazing. People are so generous, so kind, everywhere you go, even in some of the most dangerous places in the world. They are like El Salvador and Guatemala. The people are just like, they're just thankful that you're there. So we had a great time. Next slide. And then we came to Australia. So 2015, after 6 months of travel, we were a bit travel worn. I was sick of, like literally sick of eating out or, having to, we just wanted to settle. So after a bit of time in the Sunshine Coast, we came to the Goldie, and I got a job working for a sales recruitment company, which was where I was working for 5 years, and I met some of you there. And then like Katie was saying in the sort of reverse promo, the company that I was working for went more like digital training for large companies, whereas I still really wanted to work within the small business space because I get a kick out of helping people in the sales space. Yes, okay, cool. So a bit of credibility, I suppose, because I'm not just some random bloke trying to teach people sales. I was very good at it. I carved out a very successful sales career, which allowed us to travel around the world pretty much, in luxury for 6 months. Instead of buying a house, we did that. And then, I got a business diploma in 2021 as well, which is pretty cool. And I generate, no, that was good. That was perfect timing. Generated millions of dollars in revenue, whatever. This is probably the big one. I was a top salesman at a sales training company. So there was a number of us, but I was the top guy. And then we took the business onto Shark Tank, which gave a bit of exposure to bits and pieces. Worked in some big companies, blah, blah, blah. And this was cool as well. I'll go back. Nominated one of the sales coaches in 2021 by the ABJ. So that was quite cool to have a bit of PR, and that helped. So there you go, a bit of a plug for you. Aldwyn didn't do it, but I'm sure she could. All right, next. Okay, so ethical sales, really briefly. I'm just conscious of time. So basically, going back to that experience of the guy in New Zealand, I really stuck with me that most people have never been trained in sales. They basically get good at something, and then that's what they do, and then they hope that they can talk about how good they are enough that someone buys it. Or they lie and they manipulate their way. None of you guys here, but a lot of salespeople still do that today. We've all had an experience of, hands up, right? Who's had a bad experience with a salesperson? Yeah. So, and your retail sales, you walk in and someone goes, hey, can I help? And you're like, no, I'm all right. I'm just looking, even if you need some help. So the idea is that I was going to be able to train other people based on the information that I learned about the psychology of sales, to be able to show people that you can do it ethically, you can do it well, and still enjoy sales. Because ultimately, as my tagline goes, if you make no sales, you have no business. So the importance of selling is based around that. Next slide. So really, really quickly, these are some of the things that I teach. I say post-diagnostic. What that means is that if I'm doing corporate training, so I've got, so Sarah actually introduced me to her partner Eric, whose company PowerTech. They're a big corporate. I went through this with them. I went through their entire sales process and then went and spoke at their conference on some of the topics that they wanted me to work on. So I don't just tell you what I think you should know. I understand what do you need, and then I help you go through it. So that can be from rapport building, handling objections, closing, daily structure, whatever. Next one. So what do I do? So I do small group training. I have workshops. So I've got one coming up in March, which is just like a 1 day. A few of you have been on it, and thank you for that because it helps me promote it. The custom corporate training is my focus this year, and then public speaking. A lot of you have seen me speak at events, and that's my big focus this year, is to get in front of more people. Next one. These are just some photos. There's me with my hand in the air. That was a boot camp, so we've got Julie and Agnieszka came to that one, Sharon, Tracy, and then next one. This is one of my corporate clients, so Laser Clinics in Cairns. So I fly up there 4 times a year, and then I do 10 hours of Zoom with her team. So I do individual training with them all, and then we do those sessions. This is me public speaking. Next one. This is a testimonial, I haven't got time. Help them increase their sales, whatever. And then next one. So ideal referrals. So like Campbell said, like we all know people that can help each other. I appreciate that you're not going to refer if you don't know that person well enough. So the relationship you build is going to increase that chance. But we all know people connected in this space. So I would love the opportunity to speak to anybody who's connected within the sales team or the corporate space. I would be really thankful to just have the opportunity to talk to them. Next one. And then lastly, this is my workshop. So it's a day where we just go through about 10 different topics. It's good fun. It's over in the road in Broadbeach. $200 or $400 if you want a couple of hours of coaching. Naomi's doing that with me. I'm doing that with Julie and her team. Practical application tools. It's not just fluff. I'll understand that there'll be 2 or 3 things that you can really implement into your business. It could be lead generation. It could be, I just need confidence to pick up the phone and talk to more people, because you can't sell a secret, right? You've got to tell people about your business. Good bit of opportunity for networking as well. People in the room do business, which is nice. And it's on March the 1st. So if you want to come along, let me know. I've got about 6 spots left. But again, thanks. And again, lastly, the help that this group has given me to start working for myself, that was a big thing, right? To quit a job, with 3 kids and a mortgage to pay for, to sort of follow what I'm really passionate about, which is working with small business and helping sales teams. And you guys have all, in some way, shape or form, especially Campbell and Anita for putting this group on. You guys are so, Anita has bought a ticket and said, go give this to someone who can't, isn't that amazing, right? Just that kind of support, I'm genuinely really thankful. So I get to do what I love and support my family as well. So thank you very much. And if you have any questions or want to come along, chat to me after. Thank you.
Questions there? Anybody? I'll actually send that to you next week in the evening.
No time for questions.
No time for questions.
No, the